what would happen if there was a Musk impact on silver? If Elon Musk came out and said, I'm buying a silver mine. Again, we're speculating, but let's play this game. What would you think would happen?
Well, I think what the institutions would wake up to the supply-demand fundamentals of silver. And I think lithium is getting a little bit overheated right now because we've seen some pretty interesting investments in that sector. But nevertheless, it does, wake the industry up, because right now there's no institutional following in the mining sector as a whole. Maybe in lithium is a bit of a different world because of what's going on there. But in the silver gold sector, the institutions are gone. They're not investing.
When we say institutions, do we mean hedge funds? Do we mean pension funds? How do you define institutional
Yeah, mutual funds,
interest?
pension funds, the whole group, hedge funds, of course, all of these large investors who are active in the market. Most of them chase markets. That's just kind of a human nature thing that occurs. But when there's really no solid work being done by the big institutions on the supply-demand fundamentals of virtually any metal. Whether it's, and we're seeing supply problems in all metals across the board. Silver, of course, is a very small market, and it's being we're not seeing it in price. But just as I said, the supply-demand fundamentals are quite amazing for the metal.
Why do you think there hasn't been the corresponding institutional interest then?
Price. It's all sentiment. Markets are driven by sentiment, and when prices are going up, people want to buy. When prices are going down, people want to sell.
So much for, buy low, sell high, right?
That's
Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing?
That's what institutions should be doing. But, they're looking at their quarterly performance. They're looking at, trying to attract more funds into their, institutions to, do more trading and more investing. And if they don't have that quarterly performance, they're not going to get that inflow of capital. So they're concerned about investing in industries for the long term, which is what they should be doing. They should be, making, 2, 3, 4, 5-year bets, but the funds don't do that.
Beyond the funds, let's talk about some of the big players, because you mentioned previously that you do see consolidation in not too distant future, where some of the biggest players in the game ultimately gain control of all of these supply chains. Elaborate on that.
You've seen the movie I, Robot?
I have not yet seen the movie I, Robot. I think you asked me that last time. I really need to put that on my to-do list.
You gotta watch it because I think pretty well everyone would agree with me that we're going into a world whereby you have a very small group of companies, global companies, really controlling the supply chain of all industries. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's a completely different discussion. But it's a fact of life that companies are getting bigger by acquiring other companies, and they want to own their entire supply chain because they don't want to give margins along the way as a product goes through different aspects of the supply chain. So if an automotive company or an Apple, an electronics producer, can own the mine, can own the refinery, can own the mints, can own every chain, every link within that supply chain, then they're not giving away any margins. And I think that's where we're going.
That would be a pretty scary future if we have all of these big players sort of controlling everything.
You could think of it that way for sure, but that's a different philosophical discussion.
So again, going back to this Musk idea, which I'm harping on a little bit, but I believe you two have had some kind of Twitter interaction.
I don't know that for a fact. Was someone indirect? It was through the Wall Street Silver, and I commented on something, and then he commented, and I actually don't know if it was as a result of me or the other string that was going on. So I can't claim can't claim I've been in direct contact.
So no headline, Elon Musk contacts First Majestic Silver. That would be an inaccurate headline.
It would be, yeah, but not yet. I'm working on it.
Okay, so we're definitely not seeing that, but we are definitely seeing what seems to be some interest in silver via Twitter through Elon Musk. Okay, let's talk about what we expect for the price of silver for 2023. But before we do that, let's talk 2022, because last time you were here, you were predicting silver at $30 per ounce. Silver prices reached their peak on March 8th at $27.50, so not too far off. But then silver fell to as low as $17.40 on September 1st. Seeing as we just discussed how silver demand hit a record high in 2022, what do you attribute that price drop to? What do you think happened there?
Well, this is why I've advocated that the silver companies get together and take the metal out of the exchanges. Because the mining sector as a whole, the only weakness, or one of the major weaknesses that we have, is that we don't have control over the price of the product that we produce. If you're a jean manufacturer or any kind of manufacturer, you know what your margin, your profit levels need to be in order to manage your business, and you put that price on your product and you sell it. Yeah. And in the mining sector, we're at the mercy of the banks. If they want to move these metals to whatever price they want to move them at, they can do it relatively easily. With the silver industry being so small, at 800 million ounces at $20 an ounce, it's a $16 billion industry. For them to move the metal around at will, they can do it.
When you say move the metal around, is this via futures contracts? Is this via options? Do you mean manipulate the price through paper silver, which is something we've discussed before?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call it manipulation. I think it's just managing their book.
Okay.
If Tesla phones them up tomorrow and says, I need 50 million ounces of silver for 2023, the bank writes a contract to sell them that amount of silver, whatever price they sell it at. Then it's within they now have a position. It's within their best interest to try to hold the price within a reasonable range of that short position that they've just taken on with that commercial buyer. So if that price all of a sudden goes 50% higher than where their short position might exist, then it starts costing them a margin on that trade. And they don't like that very much. So they try to prevent such things to occur.